It's what I've been doing in the past 10 years, basically, is creating ecosystems to scale innovation. And that's my passion today. Is how do we take technology and innovation and scale it globally?
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley in partnership with Leumi Tech, sponsored by Homeward Ventures, Hippo Insurance, Upwest Labs, Synergy Global, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, Birthright Excel, Serona Partners, and in media partnership with C-Tech. Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. This episode is all about globalization, the Israel ecosystem with the world, specifically with Asia. Meet Rani Shifron, the CEO of Healthier Globe. Rani is the CEO of Healthier Globe, a consulting firm and the Israeli representative of Taiwanese-based innovation to industry, running launchpad programs for Israeli companies in Taiwan. So Rani, tell me about medical devices, Asia, startups. First, focusing on the medical devices side, how do you get yourself involved so deeply with this world of medical devices and a healthier world?
So my training is in engineering, and I also took lots of biomedical engineering courses. So that's really how I got started in and was intrigued with the whole side of medical devices, bringing healthcare technologies to the world and helping people live better lives.
Mm-hmm. Were there specific, events that led you to become so passionate about this, or is this simply, academic curiosity that led you this way?
Well, actually, I thought of being a doctor all my life as a child. And then I saw that I'm not built to being a doctor. So I went in from the other angle of being an engineer. And basically, I was born upside down. So that basically had a rough start in this world, and was injured in birth, really. So I think that whole thing has brought me to the world of medicine, trying to bring better health to patients and to the world. And then basically I got involved early on with startups, and from the garage up, before even the word startup was common, and was even more intrigued because that was the real business school for me on how to bring medical devices to global markets. And I was involved throughout the years with two startups, which we grew from basically zero to a global giant, I would say. As first company stayed private its whole life, but the second company we took public, and we spun off a technology, and then we ended up getting bought by one of the global giants. So throughout that, I've basically built a global network with ecosystems, and to be able to help companies and bring their technologies outwards. And that's what I've been doing in the past 10 years, basically, is creating ecosystems to scale innovation. And that's my passion today. Is how do we take technology and innovation and scale it globally?
So I'm hearing that a big part of the journey was medical devices, the actual technology as an engineer. And what I'm also understanding is that in the last 10 years, you're focusing more and more about this idea of ecosystem and enabling other technologists and entrepreneurs break into the global market and scale globally, right?
That's correct. Uh, uh, Especially with medical technologies, with all the entry barriers, there are regulatory approvals, insurance reimbursement, and everything else. It's a very difficult road to take, especially for startups. And they need guidance, and they need mentoring, and they need facilitating, and they need people on the ground. And basically, I've been involved. A lot of my career started involved in the U.S., and then in Europe, and then focusing in the Far East for many years now, because I see the big potential in the Far East. Far East, for me, I include from India eastward. And when you say India eastward, that's, you take all the population, that's more than half the world population. And as far as medical care is concerned, there's more and more budgets for that part of the world. So that's why I saw that as the big potential many years ago, and have been involved in that. And my involvement included a lot of work with Japan, Korea, Singapore, China, the whole Pacific Rim, including China. And through the years, I saw that working with Taiwan is actually the easiest, because they have a lot of similarities to Israel, as far as they're an island, and they need to take care of themselves and help each other out, scale outward, and therefore the similarities and the language. They speak fluent English, so it's not like we're dealing with Chinese.
Right. So if we're looking at Taiwan specifically and what's happening with Taiwan in terms of innovation, startup ecosystems, how Taiwan is placed within Asia as well, is it mainly that Taiwan is, an innovation hub that happens to be in Asia, or does it also interact with the Asia ecosystem in more meaningful ways?
Yeah, Taiwan interacts lots with the with the whole Far East ecosystem, but they were big in innovation in the semiconductor field back in the 80s and 90s, and part of their problem, or the government has recognized this 5 years ago, was that they've stagnated in innovation, and they needed to rejuvenate innovation in several different areas to be able to bring Taiwan to thrive. And therefore, they've created several different programs to infuse innovation from the outside into Taiwan to be able to help that. They've recognized this as a goal, and they're funding different programs to be able to infuse in innovation.
Okay, I see. So if we're looking back to medical devices, a passion of yours for many years, what is the big challenge that you've learned to overcome with all your experience about taking medical devices globally? What is the issue there?
Okay, so number one, companies need to understand that they need to first of all do clinical validation on a local level, meaning any country they want to enter, they need to find a key opinion leader and do clinical validation. Could be a pilot, doesn't have to be a full-blown study, but just to show them that it works with that specific population in that specific region. And that helps open up the markets easier. The number two thing is obviously the regulatory barriers. Each country has different regulatory approval processes, some easier, some harder, but so you need a local player to help you with the regulatory barriers and tackling that, and also finding the right partner. And finding the right partner is not just signing up a distributor, or even a bigger company or an OEM, because they won't do the selling for you, okay, or the marketing. You need to have your own people on the ground or representatives to be able to push and train and convince people of what clinical value you're bringing. Also, the main thing here is a lot of times I see inventions coming out, coming from the technical side and not coming from the need. Okay, it always has to come out from the need side, and let's solve the need. So coming with another widget or gadget that is nice to have is not going to do it. So there again, there's many pieces to the puzzle. I call it a multi-axle puzzle that you have to solve in parallel, and that's where that's where the big trick is in penetrating into markets. Finding strategic partners is the second stage, because they won't partner with you until you show them that it works, and in at least several different geographies. So again, it's a tactical and strategical play in order to be able to come into markets. And what I've done with Taiwan is we actually partnered with many of the different hospital chains there. And in order to do local work, Taiwan also has been accumulating all of the population medical records for the last 30 years, like Israel. So there's a lot of parallel things here. Taiwan is one of the leading countries as far as medical care is concerned. So it's a great sandbox, I would say, for companies to come in and to validate and to collaborate and to expand globally. I see Taiwan as the gateway for the Far East today. And I think there's distinct advantages of working in Taiwan, and especially nowadays when China is, we're not really sure how to deal with China. So again, I've utilized Taiwan as a jumping board into many different countries like Japan, Korea, and all the other parts of the Far East.
So as we know, the Israeli ecosystem is very much on the technology side. We have some great things in medical coming out of Israel, but it's very tech focused. And one thing that you mentioned before that I wanted to retouch on is this idea of validation of the problem before running through the technology side and putting the problem first and the solution first before the complexity of the technology. Well, what have you learned to be successful in this regard? Some strategies that would enable a team, even if it's a very deep tech team, to identify and validate the right problem before running full steam on a potential technology that they think may be worthwhile.
I think speaking to the market early on, even if it's just on paper, idea on paper, meaning that you don't even have anything, speaking to the end users, potential end users, is very valuable and saves a lot of time. Because sometimes what you think is probably the best solution, they'll say, "Oh, it's nice to have. I don't really need this. But if you can do this, change a little bit there, this is what I need, to solve my daily problems in the OR or any other settings." So it's really about throughout the whole process, not just early on. Throughout the whole process, always try to get as much feedback as possible from end users, and keep them in the loop. I mean, they will be your number one promoters once you come out with the product because they feel involved.
Right. Definitely. If you're looking today in your role within the ecosystem, and you've mentioned that today you're very much involved with supporting, creating, and pushing forward ecosystems, where is the big value added today of your work with different organizations?
Well, again, being able to expose company to the whole ecosystem, whether it's the clinical side, the manufacturing side, even the design side, the R&D side, for future and generation of the product, being able to be connected to that whole ecosystem and connecting the companies very easily. Hey, you should talk to him or you should talk to them. Is I find that as the best gratifying thing, and also saves a lot of times for companies. So it's again, it's the whole process, whether it's on clinical development, on the technology development, on the manufacturing, and then on the scaling. How do you scale this solution globally? And that's where I come in, is trying to help companies and solve all those different questions of the puzzle.
Fantastic. If you had to look at, medical device entrepreneurship and technologies in the next few years, what are the the big milestones that we're going to reach? I know you're also a big in digital health and remote monitoring. Where are the big milestones that we can expect in the next few years from your perspective?
Well, it's already started. The AI, big data, machine learning revolution is bringing about personalized medicine. Okay. So it won't be one solution fits all. It'll be, okay, let's see what your problem is. Let's see how we personalize the solution, the medical solution for you. Even in the drug side, it won't be one pill fits all. It'll be different drugs for different people, meaning as far as the amount of the drug itself. So you won't be giving, and all patients the same drugs. And so I think a part of the revolution we're seeing, well, it's obviously AI, which was giving us a lot of solutions already. But I think the pharmaceutical industry is coming on board late into the game. And that's where the big jump is going to take place as far as solving that. And what we'll see is we'll see people living longer, better lives and longer. So I guess that has another end to that economic end as far as how do you sustain the population, but that for a different topic.
Rani, thank you very much for your time and for your work. And and then working on solutions that make people healthier, live better lives longer. And I love the intersection here of both the world that you're in, but also, the locations and what you're talking about and your understanding of the potential, and specifically Taiwan, and the understanding the complexity of taking these medical devices globally, making a global impact. So Rani, thank you very, very much. Stay safe and stay healthy. And until next time.
Thank you, Michael. And you too. Bye-bye.
Thank you.